Imagined waking up one morning as a broke, unemployed and going to sleep that night as a multimillionaire. In 2001, David Lee Edwards won $27 million from the Powerball lottery. But only 5 years later, he was living in a storage shed, broke, addicted, and abandoned. And by 2013, he was gone forever. This is one of the most shocking lottery tragedies in history. Today's documentary takes you inside the unbelievable life of David Lee Edwards, a man whose journey from poverty to unimaginable wealth, and then back to nothing, became a global warning about the dangers of sudden fortune. Before the jackpot, David Lee Edwards lived a life full of problems. Born in Kentucky, he grew up with limited opportunities, got into drugs early, and made several bad choices. Eventually, he landed in prison for robbery and drug-related offenses. When he finally got out, life wasn't any easier. By 2001, he was unemployed, broke, and had only 3 unemployment checks left. He had no medical insurance, no savings, and no plan for the future. His home was a small, messy rented room. His biggest possession was an old, beaten-up Buick. David would later say, "My back was against the wall. I was at the lowest point of my life. And then the miracle happened." Chapter 2. The lucky ticket that changed everything. In August 2001, David walked into a convenience store and bought a Powerball ticket. He didn't expect anything. He didn't even check the numbers until his friend told him someone in Kentucky had won. When the results came in, David realized he wasn't just the winner. He was one of the 4 people sharing a jackpot worth $280 million. After taxes, David's portion came to nearly $27 million in cash. Overnight, the ex-convict became one of the richest men in Kentucky. The media rushed to his door. Cameras flashed, interview requests poured in, and David, emotional and overwhelmed, said, "This gives me a fresh start, a chance to live a normal life." But what came next was anything but normal. For David, wealth was not just money, so he spent and spent. Within months, he bought a $1.6 million house, a fleet of luxury cars, including a Lamborghini and a Mercedes private jets, for weekend trips, expensive jewelry, rare swords and collectibles. A limousine service just for himself. He hired personal bodyguards. He even paid old acquaintances just to hang around him. David didn't just enjoy the money, but behind the glamorous lifestyle, a darker storm was forming. The more David spent, the more people surrounded him. Not friends, not family, but strangers, con artists, and opportunists who saw him as an unlimited ATM. David also struggled with addiction. His drug use, which had been a problem long before the lottery, returned stronger than ever. Crack cocaine, heroin, prescription pills. He often gave away thousands of dollars for no reason. He invested in businesses that never existed. He trusted people who later stole from him. In just 1 year, he had blown through more than half of his fortune. Year 3, he was nearly out of money. The mansion went first, then the luxury cars, then the private jets, then almost everything else. By 2006, only 5 years after winning the lottery, David Lee Edwards was completely broke. The same newspapers that once called him Kentucky's luckiest man now called him the fastest lottery loser in America. He and his wife ended up living in a small storage shed behind a friend's house. The man who once had millions now lived among old boxers and garbage bags. His health collapsed due to years of drug abuse. He was in and out of hospital rooms, rehab centers, and temporary shelters. Everyone he once supported slowly drifted away. Chapter 6. The Final Days. By 2013, David Lee Edwards was living in a hospice center. No friends, no wealth, no family by his side. His body had been destroyed by addiction. On November 30th, 2013, David died at age 58. The man who once held $27 million in his hands. David's story is more than just entertainment. 1. Money does not change who you are. It amplifies who you already are. If you're disciplined, money becomes a tool. If you're unstable, it becomes gasoline for disaster. 2. Sudden wealth without guidance is dangerous. David had no financial advisors. Your habits decide your destiny. The same habits that led David to prison followed him into wealth. The life of David Lee Edwards is one of the most tragic lottery stories ever recorded. Lost everything because he didn't know how to control the very thing he wished for his entire life. Money can change your life, but without discipline, it can also end it.